So for the last 10 years, we've been operating the MD902 Explorer helicopter. Because London's Air Ambulance operates in a purely urban and hostile environment, we've selected a helicopter that's specific to that job. There's a couple of important factors to do with this helicopter that makes it safe. The rotor disc is very high, which protects the public should we land, and also you'll notice we have no tail rotor. That's particularly good if we get close to children running around or close to bushes or articles that we land near that blow up towards it. The tail rotor won't get damaged, we won't lose our anti-torque effect. London is a big place, it's 600 square miles. We have 11 million people that we look after at any one time. So as a rough guide, our area of operations extends around the M25. We're based effectively in the middle of it, so to get from this side here to the furthest extent of the M25 near Heathrow will take us about 11 minutes. We fly at about 150 miles an hour, and in a straight line, that's how we can achieve these quick times around London. We can carry up to 564 litres of Jet A1 fuel, and that'll last us about 1 hour and 20 minutes, which means if we did have that much fuel, we could fly from here to maybe even Paris. So from the time the bell goes, we aim to get airborne within about 2.5 minutes. The captain will come and start the aircraft, and the co-pilot will get the details of the job. We'll meet up at the aircraft if the rotors are still running, and then fly to the job. And we're afforded something called Category Alpha Priority, which means that the air traffic control afford us a priority over every other aircraft in the airspace and effectively clear the airspace in front of us. If we needed to go towards Heathrow, they would stop the traffic going out of Heathrow for us to get there and get to the side of a patient quickly. Contrary to popular belief, and this is a myth I'm quite happy to dispel here and now, these are not guns. They're pitot tubes, and they're for measuring the airspeed. As we fly through the air, the wind goes down these and effectively fills a balloon behind it, pushing a needle around, which tells us how fast we're flying through the air. So briefly inside the back of the aircraft, the medical kit is one thing, but this aircraft has been kitted out specifically for this role. So it has a medical floor which has rails on it for attaching equipment to, and a roof also here with equipment racks to hang drips on, for example. The seats are military spec crash resistant seats also. So one of the key features of this MD902 Explorer is the NOTAR, which stands for no tail rotor. Between the two engines is a grille, and beneath that grille is a fan with 13 blades that goes around at 5,300 RPM, throwing a mass of air down this tail, which is hollow. A lot of the air escapes out these slats on the side and is sped up by these vortex generators, which means the air is sped up on this side of the tail. The other side doesn't have this effect. As we raise the lever, we throw a mass of air down across the tail, effectively 3 tons of air per second across the tail. The air is sped up so much this side it produces a low pressure system which makes the tail want to move in this direction, which stops us from spinning. This produces about 70% of the anti-torque effect we need. So the air from this NOTAR fan, as I've said, escapes out the slats on the side of the tail, but also comes out of here. We can position this bucket by moving the pedals and pushing more or less air out of this side to depend on which direction we'd like to point. As soon as we get above about 40 knots, this effect becomes less efficient, so we use these vertical fins here, which are called VSCS, and they're just like fins on a rudder of a boat that keep us in a straight line once again. Some air ambulance helicopters load their patients through the boot. In this case, this door and space here is purely for our luggage. All the equipment we carry, including fall arrest harnesses, life jackets, spare oxygen and blood, etc., we put in the boot here. We can reach the patient from here, but usually they're loaded through the side door. So due to the complexity of the airspace and the purely urban environment which we work, we've elected to operate with 2 pilots. So this MD902 Explorer is unique in the fact that it has a dual panel. So I have instruments on this side for the captain, instruments on that side for the co-pilot, and can be flown from either side. The controls are directly linked mechanically, so we can switch control either side and take turns in flying should we need to. One of the main controls is this lever here, which is the collective pitch control lever. By pulling it up, simply the aircraft goes up, and by pushing it down, the aircraft goes down. The next control is the cyclic stick. This controls the direction of the aircraft, so by pushing the stick forward, the aircraft will go forward, and back it will go back, etc. To control the aircraft in the direction we want to face now is controlled by the pedals. And once again, simply pushing left pedal makes the aircraft go left, and right pedal makes the aircraft go right. So as London Air Ambulance works in a purely hostile environment over an urban area, we have a redundancy concept of having two engines. We have two engines either side of the aircraft, which are jet engines and burn jet A1 fuel and are capable of producing 650 horsepower each.